I want to give you the clear, simple reasons why you really should be adding caffeine 45 minutes to an hour before your workout, regardless of your training modality. Are you doing endurance work? Are you doing lifting? Are you doing CrossFit? Look, you're going to have different benefits through different avenues. Okay, and the research is just pouring out, demonstrating that caffeine has some really powerful effects. Now, of course, if we go with coffee, we get to have our cake and eat it too, right? We're not just taking a caffeine pill, we're doing something fun, enjoying coffee. So anyhow, we're gonna talk about how to utilize this pre-workout, but more importantly, I'm gonna lay out the data. I'm gonna lay out the cool research that shows why it works and why it might just help you get to your body composition goals a little bit faster as well. Hey, I do wanna ask that you please hit that red subscribe button, okay? That subscribes you to this channel where you'll never miss a beat with our daily educational videos. And then also, please hit that little bell icon and select where it says all notifications. That way you get a little push notification, a little ping every time I post a new daily video. And then after this video, if you don't mind, please do check out Magic Spoon cereal. Not only are they a huge sponsor and supporter of this channel, they're an awesome product. Look, I'm human too, and I like to have a cheat meal every now and then, but when I do, I like to keep it within the bumpers, right? I don't want to go off the rails. So this is adult cereal, okay? And I call it adult cereal because it's, I don't know, allows you to be a kid, but with a little bit more of the adult responsibility because it's low carb, doesn't have sugar, doesn't have gluten, and it's still just awesome stuff. So big thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this channel. If you want to support me, support them. Check them out down below. All right. So why do we want to use caffeine as a pre-workout? Well, the first thing we need to address is the fact that it is what is called a phosphodiesterase inhibitor. Now that sounds complicated, and in a weird way it is, but a phosphodiesterase inhibitor basically stops the certain blockade from occurring that would normally block fat from being utilized. You see, we have this thing called hormone-sensitive lipase, and please don't turn off this video because I know it sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, but it is simple at the root. Okay, hormone-sensitive lipase is sort of the epicenter where fat can get utilized as a fuel source. Okay, without fat being acted upon by hormone-sensitive lipase, it can't ever really go through lipolysis. It can't ever really get burned. So we have these little SWAT teams that are going around and they're setting up barricades, stopping hormone-sensitive lipase from being able to do its job. Okay. Now, what happens is we have this thing called cyclic adenosine monophosphate in the body. Cyclic adenosine monophosphate is a good thing, okay? It is what sort of counteracts those barriers. It keeps them in check. We have a check of barriers, and then we have a checks and balances that keeps them from going overboard. So if CAMP is activated, we're burning more fat ultimately. Well, what happens is this phosphodiesterase stops the inactivation of cyclic adenosine monophosphate. So it's not like caffeine is just magically making you burn fat. It's kind of like turning it off a few steps back. So it truly is a fairly natural way for your body to just utilize more fat as a fuel source. I'm careful to say burn fat because obviously that's kind of a claimy thing to say, but it's going to allow your body to use lipids better. The other thing that we have to look at is adenosine would normally block free fatty acids from being mobilized. Okay, so adenosine is what we stop when we have caffeine. Okay, it stops adenosine, it binds to an adenosine receptor, so we're basically backing up with adenosine. Well, normally adenosine would bind to a receptor and it would make it so that free fatty acids don't get mobilized. Caffeine blocks this. Long story short, allows you to utilize more fat. But where the stuff gets really, really fascinating is how it's improving your performance and thereby potentially allowing you to change your body. Okay, it spares glycogen. Okay, think of it like this. Your body normally, if you go into the gym and you start lifting a bunch of weights or you do some high performance work, it's going to zap your carbohydrate stores. This is a good thing overall because we want to utilize those carbohydrates and get them out of the body, but when it comes down to performance, we don't want to just drain our tank early on. We want our glycogen to be able to last us through a workout. If I go into the gym and I'm doing a bunch of squats, I want to have the energy reserves to be able to utilize my body for an hour, right? Well, what happens is caffeine spares glycogen. It allows your body to get more efficient at utilizing the carbohydrates stored in your body so that you can use them when you need to, not just vomit them out willy-nilly when you don't really need them, right? So basically it allows that lipid utilization. It allows your body to use fats for a period of time prior to the carbohydrates really kicking in. Let me reference a study so it makes some sense. So this study that was published in the International Journal of Sports Medicine took a look at subjects and it demonstrated that when they consumed caffeine prior to a workout, it decreased their glycogen use by 42% in all 7 subjects. 42% less glycogen being used. So that means you're using 42% less of the fuel in your muscle tank and utilizing lipids more. In fact, Researchers, when they looked into the respiratory exchange of these subjects, they saw that they're actually utilizing fats. So they're not just not burning fuel, they're shifting fuel. Their bodies are now utilizing lipids and storing glycogen. So that means that you have your glycogen for when you need it, when you really need it, not just when your body randomly thinks you need it. You're going for a run, all of a sudden there's a hill in front of you, you need to run up that hill. You have the reserves in your tank to do it because caffeine has allowed you to use it more efficiently prior to that point. Now, on this note, when your body's utilizing lipids more, one could argue that you're going to have more endurance, okay? If you look at the oxygen exchange, you look at just overall energy utilization within the body, you generate 36 ATP, that's your energy currency, per unit of oxygen when you are going through what's called beta oxidation, when your body's utilizing fats, okay? You really only get a couple ATP when you're going through glycolysis, anaerobic glycolysis. Point is, when you're burning carbohydrates for fuel, you don't generate as much energy. You don't get as much. You get more potent power, but you don't create overall more energy. It's not as efficient. So if you can get your body to utilize more lipids, then you become more efficient for your actual workout too. So a study that was published in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that subjects that consumed 9.8 milligrams of caffeine per pound of body weight on average were able to go 1.3 to 2 miles further in their endurance work. I think this was looking at running. I don't recall specifically, but the point is they were able to go quite a bit further just by having more caffeine. Now, there's a lot of different compounding variables there too, right? They could have also had improvements in recovery, improvements in inflammation response, all kinds of different things that allowed them to go a little bit further. Even mental willpower, one could argue. It just allowed them to mentally have the grit and the mental motor to get through it. Point is, it's effective. And lastly, when it comes down to body composition, the American Journal of Physiology showed us that, well, with this study, 30% more body fat utilization as a fuel source when you end up having caffeine prior to a workout. Okay, so yeah, we get all these different effects. And why do you want to have it an hour before? Well, because it allows you to get a little bit more of that raw effect. In my honest opinion, if you have caffeine too soon before a workout, you get this huge neurological effect in your central nervous system, and that's great, but I will go out on a limb and say that that might encourage your body to fire too much in the way of the nervous system, allowing you to potentially fire the wrong muscles. Now, I don't have concrete data, or at least I couldn't find any, but it's my experience. So I like to let the caffeine sit in, allow the fats to get mobilized a little bit, warm up a little bit, and then move into a more high-performance workout. Anyhow, I hope that this breaks it all down and allows you to have a little bit of ease of mind, to have that caffeine prior to your workout. Just keep it clean. A little cold brew, a little green tea, something like that. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.